Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the, what are we doing? Qualify Watchalong for the Singapore Grand Prix. How are we all doing this Saturday afternoon here in the UK? Hope you're having a good one wherever you are. Good weekend so far. I guess summary already of the weekend is it's pretty damn close out there. So we might be in for quite a thrilling qualifying session. Hopefully a little bit shorter than Baku was. That was a long afternoon. But yeah, all good fun. Hopefully you have a good one. I'll do some shout outs in a moment as well in the chat. But just, yeah, very much looking forward to this one. Singapore under the lights. It's always special, isn't it? F1 under the lights. But something about the original night race, as they like to bill it. Mainly because it is the original night race, I suppose. But there's just something quite special about F1 under the lights in Singapore. So very much looking forward to this. Also loving Jenson Button's Simon Cowell waistline this weekend. No idea why, but he's gone for it. There you go. We've got the Hamilton decision in. I'll have a look in just a moment on that one. But yeah, let's do some shout outs and then we'll run through the practice. We'll go through the Hamilton decision and then we'll be not far off qualifying then, I suppose. But there we go. Hey to Michael, good to see you again, mate. Hope you are. Hey to Baby Spice, good to see you too. Thank you to Anthony Rufus Isaacs for becoming a member of the channel. Thank you very much, mate, for the support. Aishan, hello. Pascal says, good afternoon, Sean and chat. I hope everyone is doing well. Booked my trip to Abu Dhabi this morning. Couldn't miss Sauber's last dance before he became Audi. Awesome stuff, Pascal. Look forward to that one. Definitely, that'll be. I've heard that Abu Dhabi. Well, it may not give us the best racing, but I've heard that as a venue, as somewhere to visit on a race weekend, it's actually quite good. So I hope you enjoyed that one, mate, and I hope you well. Hey to Colby, to Fud as well. Hey to Jithu, to Lee. Hello again to Fud. You're in there again. So yeah, we'll go through. Let's have a look at this practice session. It's on the screen for you there. Max Verstappen. Now, a couple of people told me they didn't use the word idiot, but I took it from that you know, the idea that Max Verstappen might be in contention for a win this weekend is just ridiculous. Fastest this morning. He's been in and about there pretty much all weekend, not a million miles away. Oscar Piastri P2, 17 thousandths off, so let's call it 200ths, why not? Russell third, Antonelli fourth, and Lando Norris fifth, less than a tenth separating the top five, so it's going to be quite tight out there. Carlos Sainz is sixth, not a million miles away either, a tenth and a half further back, with Isaac Hadjar right behind him in seventh. Lewis Hamilton eighth. We'll get to that decision in a moment. He was pulled up for a red flag infringement after Liam Lawson had another crash, this morning. Nico Hulkenberg, ninth. Great stuff from him so far. Half a second off the fastest time, not far off Hamilton. Leclerc in 10th, looking great for Ferrari so far. 11th for Albon, 12th for Bortoletto, 13th Ocon, 14th Bearman, 15th for Fernando Alonso, 16th Franco Colapinto, Lance Stroll 17th, Yuki Tsunoda 18th, 19th for Pierre Gasly, and 20th for Liam Lawson. Of course, as I already said, has had two crashes this weekend, one yesterday and one today. So the FIA decision on Lewis Hamilton, let's have a look. So decision, it says decision and not infringement, so I don't know whether this means we're going to get nothing from this, but let's have a look. So no further action. During the red flag period following the incident with Liam Lawson crashing, Hamilton appeared to be travelling at a notably high speed. However, analysis of the telemetry data showed that between the display of the red flag and the entry to the pit lane, Hamilton remained above the required minimum time as stipulated by Article 37.6a of the sporting regulations. Regarding the pit lane entry, the car's speed was marginally higher than that of other cars in comparable situations, but the driver maintained full car control at all times and did not drive in a manner that could be considered unsafe. So no further action on the Lewis Hamilton decision. I'll be honest, I didn't watch any of the analysis afterwards, so I can't really say whether that's the right decision or the wrong decision, but what I will say is the FIA have all the information, they have the data, they have the telemetry, and if that's the conclusion they've reached, then I'll trust them on this one occasion. Why not? Yeah, so that's your order. Like I say, very close. A tenth separating, less than a tenth separating the top five. I mean, Carlos Sainz only 2.5 tenths off the fastest time. Williams looking very good again this weekend. At least in his hands. Although Albon 11th isn't terrible, is it? So, yeah, all good stuff. But I've not got a lot to really tell you at the moment, or not that I can tell you at the moment, or I could, but I'm not going to. But so if you've got any questions, I guess is what I'm going to say, throw them into the chat and I'll do some Q&A for a bit. It has been a couple of weeks since the last race, but it's been quite quiet. Obviously, we did a little roundup in the preview. Max Verstappen's GT3 win, Lewis Hamilton losing Roscoe. We had the McLaren might win the championship this weekend, probably will win the championship this weekend. There was something else and I've forgotten, but there are a few bits going around. Romain Grosjean back in an F1 car, but there's not been anything substantial. The real talking point still seems to be what's happening with George Russell, and Toto Wolff hinted at Sky earlier that we're expecting a decision very, very soon. So it sounds like it's going to be Russell and Antonelli. We've known that for weeks, months even. We're just waiting for it to be officially official, aren't we? So, yeah, any questions? If there's something that you want me to talk about that I've missed in the big talking points, it's been a bit of a hectic couple of weeks for me. So, not necessarily content-wise, but in other areas. So, yeah, I've not kept up with everything as I should have done, but that happens from time to time. Chef says, Peter Sauber deserves more credit than he gets for what he's done for the sport and for the drivers over the years. Hopefully, he will be celebrated come season end. Pascal agrees with that. Completely agree. It's Peter Sauber. Sort of is he the last original, if you like, team boss of an independent team now? He's not really the team boss, but you know what I mean. His name's still there, isn't it? And I know we've got Frank Williams and that, but the family aren't involved there. I think Peter Sauber must be involved somewhere behind the scenes within the whole Sauber group. So unless that's changed recently, but yeah, no, he deserves a lot of credit. I think we talk a lot about what Red Bull have done with their junior program, what Williams have done over the years, but I agree. I don't think Sauber get the credit they deserve. I mean, a lot of very good drivers have come through Sauber, haven't they? I mean, it didn't work out in terms of a championship or anything in the end, but Heinz Howard Frentzen was massively rated and he started there, didn't he? So, fantastic team boss. A guy who sold it to BMW. BMW on his leave, he didn't really want it back, but he took it back to keep the team alive and keep people's jobs going with a lot of investment, of course, and he's always been somewhere around there. So, he could have bottled and run, couldn't he? Easily, but he didn't. So he's a good guy, and it's a good team. It would be a shame to see the Sauber name gone, but looking at it from a human level, Audi coming in keeps all those people their jobs, doesn't it, and things like that. So it's got to be a good thing. But great team boss. I'll miss the Sauber name. I'd miss the Williams name if it went as well, but hopefully that'll be around forever. Max on a hat-trick, says Arian. Yes, hat-trick of wins, and that leads on to what Williams says, which is if Max wins, is the championship on? So Singapore is a big question mark for me with Red Bull, because they haven't gone brilliantly here in recent years. They did win in 22 with Perez, didn't they? But they've not had a great run of form here, and Max struggled last year, and it's not a circuit that suits him. He's never won here, as people keep telling you, I'm sure, all weekend. So this was the big question mark for me. If he turns up this weekend and wins, when you look at COTA, we know he's gone well there in the past and the car's gone well there. Mexico's a good track for Red Bull generally. Brazil could be anybody's game. Vegas, a little bit the same again. We're not really quite there with Vegas, understanding that. Qatar's still a bit of a mystery. Abu Dhabi, he's gone well there and he's not gone well there. So I think if he wins this weekend, with this being the big question mark, I think you can start to talk about him as a proper outsider for the championship rather than a possible outsider for the championship. The only thing is, it sort of depends where Piastri finishes and where Norris finishes. If Verstappen wins and Piastri's P3 and Norris is P5, game on, If Max Verstappen wins and Piastri P2, maybe still game on, but not quite as game on. If neither of those score and he wins, then we're absolutely going for a Verstappen championship, and he'll probably do it. But what's helping Max at the minute, and he said it this weekend, he's got nothing to lose. He could just relax and go racing. So it would be... I'm not sure how people would react if McLaren didn't win both championships from here. I still think, even if he does win this weekend, he is very much an outsider for it. But I'll say it again, you'll get sick of hearing this for now at the end of the season. If anyone can, Max can. So as long as it's mathematically possible, I'd never completely rule him out. And I said that over the summer when we were already pretty much ruling him out. It was sort of like, you never know with Max. Until it's absolutely impossible, never say never. But he needs to win here, but he also still needs McLaren, I think, to have an off weekend somewhere, and then he needs to win. So that's basically, to answer your question in a sentence, was that, rather than everything that came with it. But I'm trying to filter, we get to qualifying. It's just, I'm not, as a Max fan, I'm not getting excited yet, but there is a shot there. So, hey, Sonic Boom says, great to listen in. Last time I was on a plane from London to Sydney. I'm glad. Well, clearly you landed all right. Everything went okay. So, hey, you had a good flight and did get nice and drunk as we agreed. Red Raven, they gave full name there. Red Raven says Sauber isn't the German word for clean for no reason. Compare and contrast with the criminal Alpine, says Red Raven. Also says, have both McLarens crashed out this weekend and him winning, then we may talk. Red Raven is ruling Max Verstappen out this year. I'm not until it's... I mean, do you know what? Not even mathematically impossible. If we get to 3 races left and he's 70 points behind, he's not going to do it, is he? So, but I think maybe it's more hope out of it, more hope than expectation. But I think wins here, McLaren have an off weekend somewhere else and he wins, he's right in it. But I think getting past Brazil at this stage of the season is a key point, because as we saw last year, was it last year, Verstappen winning with Ocon and Gasly on the podium? Anything can happen. So let's say neither McLaren finishes tomorrow. Max wins, great, but he might crash out in Brazil and the McLarens might win, so it can easily flip back the other way. It's not on his side, let's put it that way, but I'm not. That's a good way of putting it from Jithio, actually. Max is smelling blood in the water. Exactly. It's a bit like that, isn't it? So, also, Perplex says Lando and Oscar are going to clash. They haven't really yet, have they? I know Lando went into the back of Oscar in Canada, and there have been a few sort of close moments. I'm thinking Hungary. I mean, Oscar Piastri couldn't have been any close without contact, could he? Let's be frank. So it's come close. So it's gonna blow up at some point. But actually, do you know what? Credit to Sam, who does the shorts, or who did the shorts. Sam's fine, don't worry. He makes a really good point that, as you say, the McLarens may clash, which they may, but can you tell I've forgotten the point I was going to make? God, that's an age thing. That's terrifying. It was all there. That was it. If Verstappen gets himself in the mix with the McLarens, it stops McLaren being able to not manipulate, manage is the word I'm looking for, a race result. So if they have a bad pit stop with Lando Norris and that gets Max Verstappen in between the two McLarens, frankly, tough shit. He's just going to have to deal with that bad pit stop. They can't then swap the drivers around. They can't get involved with team orders. So Max can keep them second guessing. Even if he's not going to win this championship, just doing that spices everything up, and it's going to make it more interesting than it currently is. So there you go. Although, again, I said this the other week, somebody said on the other social media app that it's one of the most interesting championship battles I've ever seen. So maybe they're watching a DVD season review from somewhere else. But yeah, if Max is in the mix, he keeps it interesting, and that's all I want to see. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's a huge part of me from a content creator's perspective, from a Max Verstappen fan perspective, from just somebody who wants to see a great fight, that would really love the stories that come out of Max Verstappen nicking it at the end and McLaren going, how the hell have we taken this dominant car and not won either of the last 2 championships, drivers' championships? Lot of question marks there for McLaren if that was to happen. That's all I'm saying. I remember when. Well, maybe not. Exactly. Qualifying is about 12 minutes away now, but we're nearly there. And then my waffle won't stop, but we'll be able to talk about what's happening on track rather than my nonsense. As long as Max is mathematically in there, it keeps the McLaren drivers on their toes. Exactly. What is your favourite era season of F1, says William. Pop yours in chat. What are your favourite eras of F1 and favourite season? I mean, look, Michael Schumacher fan through and through. 2000. Well, even forget 99 or most of 99 or bits of 99 were great, but certainly those early 2000s, late 90s. I mean, that was my era, so I suppose that is my favourite era. In terms of my favourite season, probably 2012. You could throw other seasons at me. That's great. 2003 is very underrated. 1999 is a very underrated season. 2010 is actually quite underrated. I think Purple Zebra said that before in chat, that 2010 doesn't get enough love, but I think 2012 for me, just as a season as a whole. For stories, 2009, you could put that in there. The drama of 2021, which was just toxic hell, so I didn't really enjoy that very much, to be honest. But yeah, I think those early 2000s and late 90s, that's my year. I started in 92, so anything from there until now is viable. But I've watched like review DVDs and stuff like that from seasons past, and there's some great seasons in the 70s and 80s as well, but that I've witnessed, 2012 probably the best for me. But anything that Schumacher won, I used to be so grumpy when he used to lose. Like if he didn't win on a Sunday, or he crashed out, which was rare, or somebody took him out or whatever, or a mechanical problem, I'd be grumpy all week. I'm glad I'm not like that anymore. I'm just grumpy all the time. It's just easier that way. Warren says 2010 to 2012, mid-80s and early Senna. Some great shouts there. William says when the engine went broom. Yes, the roar of a V10 or a V8, definitely. Red Raven says, current day, I think we're in an era of F1 where in hindsight we'll talk about plenty. Yeah, true. No, we've had some great seasons. Even, I mean, look, people don't like dominant seasons, but even 2023, behind Max Verstappen, there was a lot going on, wasn't there? So, and there have been some great stories. And even last season, I never really felt like Lando was in that title fight, but he was really, and could have nicked it. So that would have been quite a story. And, McLaren's first title since, Constructors' title since 98. There's been great stories this era, but I think, like you say, it probably needs that hindsight. Probably in 10 years' time, we probably look back and say, wow, that era was pretty special. I think it's been confirmed as well that Max Verstappen will be, I hate this phrase, the most winningest. Is it winningest driver? What? It's not a word. I'm sure it's not a word. Of this ground effect era of cars, which I imagine has surprised nobody, given that he's won about 325,000 races in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. So let's not focus on one season. Let's make it 2020 to 25. Had a bit of everything there. 2020 was a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Not gimmicky, that's not the word I mean. It was unique, wasn't it? It was something different, 2020, because we had COVID. So we had the shorter calendar, the smaller calendar, the late start, the double races, the comebacks for Portimao and Imola and things like that. So that kind of made 2020 super, because the championship fight itself wasn't great, was it? But we got some big surprise results in there, and we got some really good races, and we got to see some great tracks come back. So that's a good shout. 21, I don't want to talk about it. 2022. I think 22 was a better season. It was difficult for me, but yeah. 2023, again, already talked about that. 24, that was pretty good last year. This year's been great. Even with the McLarens having the rocket ship, it's not been a dominant season as such. We've still had the two drivers pretty close, so that's been good fun to watch. But there's lots of, I define an era, I suppose. Do you go by regulations? Do you go by decade? It's a long old conversation that I fear. But the other thing as well, of course, in 2020, we had like a really early silly season, didn't we? Because Vettel was announced to be leaving Ferrari. Sainz then went to Ferrari. Ricciardo went to McLaren. And it just sort of set off a really nice early silly season while we were waiting for the racing. So that was the... Without being too, reminiscing before we get to the actual qualifying session, but that January, February 2020 was when the channel was at its best. And then I made the cataclysmic error of, rather than continuing doing what was clearly working, given that every video was smashing through 100,000, I decided to panic, and as soon as they postponed the season, I was like, crap, better go back to what works or what I think works, and it didn't work, and we are where we are now. So but yeah, good afternoon, Sean. Got to say, kind of impressed with Red Bull. They could have collapsed, but no, Max is still in it. It says Dan the man. Absolutely. Red Raven says no. Red Raven's writing him off, but do you know what? I don't really mind. I wasn't ready for a Verstappen championship this year anyway, but if he does do it, then it's going to be a lot of fun post-season, isn't it, looking back at how this got away for McLaren and how Red Bull turned it around. And was the Lauren McKee's appointment was that upturning fortune and form? Was that just a coincidence? Was that always going to come? Or has Lauren McKee's really made that much of a difference behind the scenes? So much to look into when this season is over. But you sort of, again, it could just be coincidence, but if you just base it on the results, it's hard to argue with the decision they made with their team management, really, at Red Bull, wasn't it? Right, we're ready to go for quali. The music's kicked in. You know the one I mean. The Leclerc-Norris pit lane crash could have been even worse than it was, says Ewan. Yeah, no penalty for Lewis Hamilton. The Norris pit lane crash with Leclerc. Right. I'll often bring up Sky bias, and people say they're not biased, and even if they are, who cares, right? They're a British broadcaster. Yes, they go worldwide, but they are Brits, and they're going to be biased towards those drivers. That's their job. In the same way the Dutch are biased towards Max, and the Spanish are biased towards Fernando and Carlos, and etc., 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 right? Italian media to Ferrari. But that whole meltdown from Crofty and Ted yesterday over that incident was so embarrassing. Was so obviously biased. Had Norris hit Leclerc in that situation, they'd have just called it an incident, nothing to worry about. It was such an overreaction. It was so stupid. And if you want me to be an absolute prick about it, right? Charles Leclerc's pulling out the garage and looking left. There is one driver who's looking straight down the pit lane and can see the Ferrari and didn't slam the brakes on. Or at least not enough. So, you know, I don't blame either driver for that. It was a mistake by Ferrari. They got fined. Correct decision. These things happen. Let's move on. But, oh, my God. They wanted him arrested. They wanted him tried for attempted murder. They wanted him locked up for life. It was so stupid. So stupid. Just such a nothing incident. But, you know, the drama. Let's get all this set up then for the qualifying watch-along proper. So obviously no on-track footage for, again, obvious copyright reasons. The live timing and the track map and the data and all of that you see on screen is provided by the awesome folks over at Multiviewer for F1. If you don't have it, highly recommend it. It's a free app. You do need some sort of F1 TV subscription, but F1 TV Access, which is the cheapest one, is absolutely fine, and you can customize your viewing experience with as much or as little data as you like. I have as much as possible because it makes this bit easier, but I cannot recommend those guys enough. They're absolutely brilliant. So thank you to them for allowing me to use these on these streams. So there you go. We are about ready to go. I kind of feel understand Ted's frustration, as this is something that was always going to happen eventually, and this is his workplace. But yeah, it was a bit much. That's a fair point, and that is a fair point that could have been made much better, I think, from certainly Crofty. It was stupid, it was silly. It's this rule that they've got in place with the you're not allowed to go into the pit lane until you get a restart time. It was always gonna happen. So I get that frustration, but the absolute meltdown just was not needed at all. We have on-track footage, Sean. We just mute it, says Warren. Yes, you can get on-track footage if you watch it on the TV. It does. I will be honest, and you're going to get a lot of this over the next couple of weeks. I'll explain why at some point. But it really does baffle me that people still don't understand the concept of a watch along. It's nowhere in the description, in the tags, in the thumbnail, or in the title or anything does it say I'm showing the race live. It's a watch along. They've been doing it for football channels for years, so it just really baffles me that people don't get the concept. But maybe a language barrier thing, I don't know. But when John Smith gets angry, you sort of think, well, you should probably work that out by now. But anyway, 4 DRS zones, don't forget, this weekend, which is pretty much half the track, if not more. So that's good stuff. We're getting there. We're a few seconds away from the start of qualifying, so I'll get ready for that first timestamp. Need to call it a watch on because of copyright, says Michael. Yeah, well, there are some people who will call it race live and things like that, and that's naughty because that is lying. You're not showing the race live, but well, it depends how you interpret it, I suppose. You might not see it that way, but each their own. To each their own. Is that the expression? Whatever. You know what I mean. Oscar Piastri getting... I was going to say... I won't use the phrase I was going to use. He's being cold air being blown into his cockpit. That'll do. I'm not quite as filthy as he was in his radio yesterday, where he said that his knob was stiff. And do you know what as well? That's why I love Oscar Piastri. The delivery of that line, his tone never changed, yet it was clearly a cheeky joke, yet his tone was just exactly the same. I love the guy. I think he's great. If Max can't win his championship, it can be Oscar for me. Plus, first Aussie World Championship 1980 would be pretty cool as well. It's been a long time, but we are green for qualifying one. Off we go under the lights in Singapore. First one out on track is Franco Colapinto. exactly. No penalty for Hamilton Hansi. No penalty from there. It was no further action. The telemetry showed that he was slow enough, so all good there. The document is on the FIA website if you want to have a proper read of it, but that's really the long and the short of it. There's not much more to add. No real. I haven't got the data, so I can't say whether he did or didn't. But yeah. I did laugh at the pit lane crash, and you're right, Sean. Someone wasn't looking where he was going, but yeah, Ferrari to blame. Says Dan the man. It's always Ferrari. We always have to blame Ferrari. It's like that. Even I blame Ferrari, and I'm a Ferrari fan as I sit here in my lovely Mercedes merch. Nearly bought the Red Bull t-shirts they've got this weekend, and then I looked at the website. They were 120 quid, and I was like, I'm not paying that for a t-shirt. Also, Sean, stop falling for this crap. You're nearly 40, and you're still falling for this whole buy our special merch. It's a slightly different colour. Like football kits every year that barely change. Oh, let's buy a new one because the sponsor's 1% bigger or something. Do you remember when Seb got pole from the garage around these streets back in 2013? Says William. Yes, he just got out, didn't he? Just got out of the car. He didn't feel he could go any better, any faster, and the gap was huge. So he was sort of like, well, I'll just not bother then. Which I kind of... that was how good he was in late 2013 and throughout that period, actually, 2010 to 2013. I think Seb's a driver that eventually people will learn to appreciate a bit more. I still feel like he doesn't get a lot of credit for what he achieved. All right, it's an Adrian Newey car. Yeah, it was an Adrian Newey car. It was a Ross Brawn car. It was a somebody else car. It's always, there's always an excuse, isn't there? Or a Rory Byrne car. Do you think David Croft cried when Nigel Mansell's engine blew up and Prost won in 1986? I don't know. When was that in 1986? I might not have even been born at that point. That might have even been too early for Sean. Yeah. Yeah, Seb achieved it with the blown diffuser era. Hamilton achieved it with the best engine in F1. Schumacher achieved it by having a team built around him. We can go back through all of it and pick out, stuff like that. But Williams only won in 92 because of active suspension, and 93. It's a team sport. The best drivers get themselves in the best cars, and deliver. I can't buy into that sort of thing. I totally get your point, but I can't buy into that sort of thing. We can do that for pretty much every world champion, I think. He has got I only noticed this morning that he's got a gold helmet this weekend, Lewis Hamilton, even though I was there all weekend. I've been there all weekend watching on TV. I sat here all weekend watching on TV, so I don't know how it took me so long to notice. But can you remember Sebastian Vettel had the flashing lights on top of his helmet one year? That was quite crash helmet one year. That was quite unique. But we're going to get some laps on the board soon. That's what I'm feeling for, waiting for somebody to come around and give us a lap time. I remember DAS. Yes, dual axis steering. Was it dual axis steering, DAS? That was a storm in a teacup, wasn't it? As many things are in F1, to be fair. Another good thing about Singapore, by the way, just while we're waiting for the first lap times to come on the board, we get lots of wonderful shots of Sparks on XPB and on Alamy and all of that lot with their photos this weekend, so that's always good to see. But 132.0 for Colapinto was the first lap. That's been beaten now by Hulkenberg 131.6, Gasly 137.1. Everybody on a new set of soft tyres this session, so let's see. I assume Williams' little resurgence here is specific to tracks rather than some sort of development, because surely they've not bought anything for a while, and they're pretty much focused on next year now, if not completely. I mean, everybody should be now, shouldn't they, really? Red Bull bought a couple of bits this weekend, the new front wing. We've got a yellow flag, Albon and Piastri down at turn 1 and 3. I'm guessing Albon, because he's going quite slow. So I'm assuming he's gone across the first couple of corners. I think it was Albon or Piastri. Those were the two down there when it happened. So I'm going to go Albon because he was going slow. He might have jumped out of the way of Piastri. We'll get a replay, I'm sure. But at the moment, Sainz 131 flat, Albon a 131.4. So Leclerc now trumps that with a 130.9. Hadjar purple in the middle sector. He's come alive again. He had a bit of a rocky summer, didn't he, did Isaac Hadjar, but he's definitely turned up again now. He's found form, so that's good, and he goes fastest on a 30.8. Norris is unsurprisingly purple and purple. So we'll see what he can do here. You'd imagine he'd go quicker. Piastri and Verstappen, obviously personal best because they've not set a lap yet, but not really a million miles away. No. Oh, Piastri is, sorry, in the first sector. He's well off, 36.6. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong time. I'm guessing he's on a double warm-up lap, maybe. Prep lap 135, 130.5. And here comes Max Verstappen now, DRS open on the run through this sort of newish part of the track. I don't know if they're going to revert to the old layout from, I think they said the work should be complete by the end of 2026. So whether they'll revert to the old layout for 27, I don't know. I sort of hope they don't. I think keeping that long run from what is term 14 through 15 and into 16, I think that's the best way. I think that gives us, at least opens up possibilities for overtakes. I think bringing back that twisty, awkward section. It was great to watch the drivers through there because it was a real threat, a real challenge, and it was a real threat to their races if they went even slightly offline through there. But I'd rather have this long blast down to turn 16 and at least open up the possibility of a pass. But let's see. Let's see what they do for 27. Piastri's lap was horrendous, but I am guessing, again, double preparation rather than anything else. And it's fastest for Max Verstappen at 130.3. Lewis Hamilton at 130.5. I won't get too excited for Ferrari because let's remember last weekend or last race they were sort of in the mix early doors in qualifying and then just imploded for some reason. So Leclerc over the line for another cool lap or preparation lap. Russell starting his flying lap. Here's Oscar Piastri. Is it Oscar Piastri? Well, it was one of these two, Oscar Piastri, Alex Albon, and it was based on that lap time. Surely it was Albon. It was Albon. Piastri says that you can't give a yellow flag for someone getting out of the way, so he had to back off on that lap. That ruined that lap for him, so that's why he was so slow. But I sort of agree. I mean, if Albon's stuff sat in the wall, then I think, yeah, you need a yellow flag. But, I mean, if he is just jumping out of the way, then I sort of agree. But if a car's off track, the marshals have to wave the yellow flags because you can't really tell in that split second as a marshal why that driver's off track, can you? So I guess, marshals doing the job they have to do, so no criticism there. But he's got a fair point. If someone's just getting out of the way, we don't need yellows, but the marshals aren't to know that driver's just getting out of the way, are they? As Bearman goes second, a 10th off Max Verstappen. Interesting. Ocon up to 9th. So Bortoletto 8th, by the way. Some good pace. Really nice mix. Should we leave that top 10 there? That could be the grid for tomorrow. That'll give us a spicy championship fight. Cracking lap from Bearman. Purple final sector as well. Russell has been... Actually, Mercedes been... I'll wait to cross the line, actually, before I say it. Yeah, there we go. Mercedes have been sort of surprisingly competitive this weekend. It's quite hot, and they don't tend to do well in the hot temperatures, do they? So it's been quite surprising to see them up there a little bit this weekend. So hopefully we're going to have quite a competitive top 4 teams, and then the midfield can kind of get in the mix as well. Colapinto is pushing on. I'm going to see. Ocon says, I have an issue with my belts. We need to redo them. So that might be something the stewards might want to take a look at later on the safety grounds. But yeah. He's obviously okay in there, just not completely cool. Colapinto goes up to 8th. Great stuff from Franco. I could try and make the track back a bit bigger, but it's a bit difficult to squeeze it in. I'll have to resize my box. Oh, the accents. The accents are so unnecessary. I'll see what I could do, but I've not got a lot of space to squeeze it in, and I'm not going to be redoing the overlays at this stage. Unfortunately, I'll try my best. I'll see what I can do. There's a bit of space there still, isn't there? So we might be all right. That's a wee bit better. It's not epic. It's not going to make the world a difference, but there you go. I've had a go. I've had a go. I am listening to the track action. Don't worry, I'm not completely ignoring it. I've got Martin Brundle in my ear talking something. So there we go. I don't think that's made a world of difference, but I've done what I can. So there we go. Verstappen 2,000ths off. Clear of Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc's gone purple in the middle sector, so he's about to come through and put a lap in and goes third fastest, half a tenth off the fastest time. So we are track evolution's high, so this isn't a massive surprise to see. It's a street track. It rubbers in as the weekend goes on. There's been rain around as well, so some of it will be the track rubbing in as Hadjar goes fastest on a 1:30.2. Ooh, could this be one of those weekends where we just, go on, why not? Where we just have absolute, the most unlikely of grids. It's very early days. There's still a lot of time on the table. Teams aren't going to push like crazy, are they now? So they don't want to cause any damage. I can't change if I change my shirt to red. That's why I don't wear the Ferrari gear. Every time I've worn it, it's all falling apart. So, but then again, to be fair, every time I haven't worn it, it's fallen apart as well. So, Ferrari just collapsed. There you go. Piastri needs this, by the way. He's not got a time on the board. He's going to have to leave, I think he'll probably leave a bit of time on the table here. I might be wrong. There's still a bit of space out there. Not a lot. You won't get much between there and that outside wall, but, you know, he needs this. And he gets across the line and does only go 6th, but he's ahead of his teammate. Swap says Racing Bulls for the win. Hell yeah. Liam Lawson's victory today is not sticking it in the wall for qualifying. He's got a car they had to rebuild. Well, rebuild between sessions, but also I guess they had to rebuild yesterday to a point as well, didn't they? Norris goes purple in that first sector. This could be... Piastri's going to have to go again. I think everybody will have to go again, to be honest, because... this track is constantly improving, which, again, it should do. Is it me or what? McLaren have lost their edge and others have caught up, says JJ Lawn. The summer updates, as Norris goes 3/10 quicker in the middle sector, the summer updates, which were pretty much the final updates for everybody, may have brought the field closer together. I think Cota... next time out is going to be an interesting one. That might give us a proper gauge of whether McLaren have lost the advantage and that's it, or whether they're just having a bad few races. But it's gone fastest now, Norris. 3/10 quicker than Hadjar, so that's a much better lap. Should see him through. But I think whatever's happened, the gap has definitely come down. Whether that's down to, look at that impeding. I bet 3 cars probably impeded Antonelli there. Sainz will get. I mean, they said no further investigation for impeding on Carlos Sainz there. I think that's based on that one replay. I think that's a little bit unfair on Antonelli there, but yeah, I think the gap has come down. Whether or not it's because McLaren have lost an advantage or whether everyone else has just caught up, I don't know. But next one's going to be interesting. Yes, Tsunoda's has really struggled, hasn't he, this weekend generally. Warren says track-specific McLaren. I still feel I think if you were to do a pecking order, you still put McLaren number 1, but I don't think you put them as number 1 as they were 6 races ago, for example. So, but Yuki's had a bad weekend. I think he's not really been, which is a shame because I really hoped he was going to sort of build on what was a very strong weekend for him in Baku, but it's just not really happened, has it? So far, he might go and stick a pole up in a minute and surprise us all, but I'd be very surprised. I think Sainz is a little bit lucky to get away without an investigation on that one, to be honest. But then there were already already two cars impeding Antonelli before that, so maybe, or hampering him, let's say. I don't know. Everyone on, I mean, I'm trying to work out where the cutoff is really, but I'd ignore cutoffs in this sort of session where the track is evolving like this. I think everyone needs to be out there again. Even Norris on a used set or something needs to go out again. No, that's true. Yeah, he stuck it in the wall twice, hasn't he? So, good point for Fud. Fud says Anthony got pinged for track limits too. I wonder if it was that lap and that's why no impeding. Good point. Let's have a look. So he got... I hate when he does this. He got pinged for track limits at 21:07. No, sorry, 14:0. I'm reading that wrong. 14:09:36, and then it was. I mean, it was only 5 seconds later that they noticed Sainz for impeding, so it could be that. Yeah, that's a very good spot actually, Fud. Very good spot. Hey, Rocket Raccoon, hope you're well, mate. Good to see you again. So I got some used tyres out there. Verstappen on used. This is going to get very busy. Look at that track map. It's full. Lots of cars out there. All 20 of them you'd like to think. Tsunoda's last at the moment. And the reason I'm saying it like that is, again, I'm not having to go at him, but Liam Lawson's been in the wall twice this weekend. He's 11th. If anyone out there should be lacking confidence and leaving time on the table and maybe not having the pace, you could probably give it to him. But that's not good from Tsunoda. We can have the usual debate if you want about that second car being dreadful, but you know, that's even in that car, that's not right, is it, down there? And a half a second off the car ahead as well, I should add. I don't know, I've not seen. He might have had some bad laps, but we'll see. Fastest for Hamilton, 1:29.765. We've got Mercedes got a final comment. Stroll going to do his lap here. DRS open. He stays 14th. He's in trouble. Colapinto 15th. Russell's had a lap time deleted. He did cut a corner to let cars through, so that'll be why that's happened. Yeah, we should have a chat, Stuart, and it should be fun. I agree. That was a great spot, to be fair. A great spot. 40 seconds to go. We're nearly there for Q1 at the moment. Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly and Tsunoda all in the drop zone. Tsunoda needs this. Piastri goes 6th. It does improve, but not by much, and that's on a fresh set of tyres. So 1:30.4 is the cut-off time, apparently. So anyone from Bearman down is in trouble by that metric, but I mean, Piastri's only a 10th quicker than that. He might be okay, but this could be tight. Tsunoda's improved. We've got yellow flags out there. Gaz is in the wall, I think. Gaz is in the wall. He's not moving on the track map. And that's going to be... And in fact, Tsunoda has to go through there. He's not in the wall. He's gone straight on, I think. And he can't... Has he hit the wall? Can't quite see there. So that's ruined Tsunoda's chance of getting through. So anybody going through that sector now. So Hamilton, Norris, Stroll. They'd already done laps. Hadjar, Verstappen... They're not going to be able to get a quicker lap here. I've lost everything. The steering is heavy, says Gazzy. So some sort of mechanical problem there. But Tsunoda can still improve. He just has to slow down through the yellow flags. It shouldn't be too hard to improve from where he is. The only way is up from there, let's be honest. And by let's be honest, I mean let's state a fact. Over the line he goes. He does go 10th, but the stewards will investigate that. Do lap times get automatically deleted through yellow flags though, or is that only? That's one for chat. I haven't got the regulations in front of me to think. So they might delete that anyway. But yeah, it's always whether they've slowed down enough. That's what they're debating on Sky at the minute. But that's a good lap from Yuki actually. But it's still on the cutoff. 30.5. The cutoff was 30.4. So he's still not in a great spot here. Here goes Bortoleto goes 16th. Double yellows only. Okay, fair enough. I wonder this is going to be interesting on Tsunoda, isn't it? They will investigate that. I'm not saying he didn't lift, but they may investigate that because he went substantially quicker and others didn't really improve a lot. So have they backed off to it? So this is Gasly replay. Just something quite... No, it might be the lights that I'm looking at. Yeah, it's a mechanical issue for him. So it just looked from the shot like he was in the wall, but no, it was a mechanical issue. So there we go for Gasly. That's an anticlimactic end, really, to what would have been or could have been quite a dramatic finish there. Yuki Tsunoda is through for now. The stewards may look at that, but we'll see what they decide. I'm sure they'll soon say. Colapinto close to the wall there. But we've lost Gabriel Bortoleto, Lance Stroll, Franco Colapinto, Esteban Ocon, and Pierre Gasly. So there we go. Thank you very much for the super chat, Rocket Raccoon. I should give you a like there. It says, love for the Lone Star States. Hopefully Ferrari can get a good result today because my sanity needs it. Yes, hopefully. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate your support as always. That Alpine is a bloody boat. At the best times a yacht. At the worst times an oil tanker. And we're definitely in aircraft carrier territory today, said Red Raven. Tsunoda got so lucky with the yellow flag just in front of Gasly. I thought he'd gone through the yellow flag, but if he was just in front of Gasly, then that's all right. But I thought because that whole 11 to 12 is yellow, so I might be wrong. We'll see if there's an onboard. Anthony Davidson usually comes back and checks those things, doesn't he? So I don't support Mercedes woo-how. I just really like their merch this year, so that's why I'm wearing it. I'm a Ferrari fan. Ferrari my team. Max is my driver, so I'm a nice big confusing mess here for everybody. Why not? Very much just enjoy my racing, though, more than anything, so. Hey, Raging Controller. I appreciate you, Sean. 2017 gang stand up. Yes, indeed. Who's been here since 2017? Not like a live, but I mean on the channel, because, yeah. Just intrigued. I know there's Thomas on Discord, has been. A few others have as well on Discord, so. Hey, Kieran. Hope you well, mate. Ann Davis is like the library monitor at school. Yeah, he is. I think it is just the Adidas stripes. I think that's all it is. The sponsors and that are basically the same as every other year, but I just think it's a stripe. I don't know what it is. It just, yeah. Red Raven says that's 8 years I'm not getting back. Thanks a bunch. You're welcome. I try my best. I'm gonna have a word. I don't know if anyone from Discord is in, but I might mention it to them. I'm considering opening that up to everybody again, apart from the handful of arseholes that ruined it last time. But yeah, it's I might open it up again for people because it'd just be nice to chat to people somewhere when I can. I don't get in there very often because I'm busy doing other things, but I can find a bit more time now, so that's good. Thank you, Raging Controller. Appreciate that. Incoming Hamilton masterclass? Question mark. Actually, to be fair, hey Paula, thank you for your support over the years. I think more supporting us. Thank you very much. But actually, to be fair, Jonty said to me the other day that obviously after Lewis Hamilton lost Roscoe, Jonty was like, we're either going to see an absolute disaster class from Hamilton this weekend or a masterclass. So, we'll see what happens. He's P1 at the minute, so it's going well so far, isn't it? So Max is in the mix. Max is definitely in the mix for pole. At the moment, I will do predictions before Q3, but I really... It's very difficult to call this at the moment. It's very close out there. I don't think he will, but I'm not even going to completely rule out a shock pole from somebody like an Isaac Hadjar. I think once everybody else gets, fully up to speed, they put, everything, balls to the wall. He's probably looking at a top 6 or 7 Hadjar, but it's very close out there. The driver can really make the difference here today. Yuki did go through yellow, says Kieran. Am I missing Anthony Davison's analysis? So apparently Tsunoda lifted off more than usual, so I could rewind that a little bit. I can't go too far, so I don't want to miss the start of Q3. at Q2, well, not Q3, at Q2. I'd be interested to hear what he's... I might go quiet for a second while I just have a listen. Yeah, as Anthony Davis has just said, you do have to lift off a brake for that part of the corner anyway. But he did seem to lift off slightly earlier, so he might be okay there, Yuki. He might be okay. The stewards will inevitably look at it. Start of Q2 has been delayed. I assume that is just because they're still recovering Gasly's car rather than Godzilla on the track or anything. What do you think about Hamilton's performance ever since he joined Ferrari, says Wuhao? Not great. Certainly hasn't lived up to the hype that the media were desperate to deliver over the winter, has it? But next year, he's had an input on next year's car. I think next year is where we ultimately judge whether it's been a complete failure going to Ferrari, really. But I think there are a few teams and drivers like that. You know, I'm not judging anybody too much on this year who swapped teams, like, you know, Carlos Sainz, for example, because they've jumped into a really difficult situation, a car that's not, you've had no input in, a car that's getting minimal development, a car you're not having any input in, and everyone's focused on next year, so that's when I'll sort of judge what everyone's doing. But it's not been great, and that's an understatement. All I'll say is if Max wins the title this year, says CPB, and then he will have damn well earned it. Yep. I thought we're on anti-social media. Our job is to judge constantly, says Red Raven. Yeah, you know me, Red Raven. I'll always give people benefit of the doubt, and I think that when there are reasons behind people's struggles this year, it is a bit of a tricky season, a bit awkward, a bit of a limbo season for a lot of people. So if he turns up next year, gets obliterated by Leclerc, and continues to perform like this, then it's a whole different conversation. But at the minute, I mean, the only thing I would say about Hamilton versus Sainz, for example, is you'd expect someone of Lewis Hamilton's caliber and the success he's had over the years and his experience to maybe adapt more quickly than he has. I think the biggest frustration for me with Hamilton this season has been that there are races where he'll do something really, 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 really good, really strong weekend. You go, right, this is it. This is where he builds on this. And then he struggles for a few weeks. You're like, you almost want him to kind of get it right. Because an on-form Hamilton in a competitive Ferrari, an on-form Verstappen in a competitive Red Bull, and then you throw in your Norrises, your Piastris, your Russells, that's when it gets exciting. Your Leclercs as well. We want as many drivers on form as we can get, because it's only going to spice things up. So maybe that's just me. What driver number would you choose? If on the odd occasion I play the F1 game, I tend to go with number 8. But if I could choose absolutely of any number, I'd probably one of those boring people who gives the obvious, probably number 7 answer. So there we go. I thought for certain that Lewis was going to get the podium at Silverstone, says CPB. Kieran Size, there you go. Who do you think will win Singapore? We'll wait till after quali, and I'll make that prediction then. We'll do some predictions after quali and before Q3 as well. We are only 2 minutes 45 from the start of Q3, so we're almost ready to go. But yeah, number 7. One of my favourite footballers, David Beckham, of all time. Got the number 7, didn't he? That was his number. Not Mason Mount, and certainly not Michael Owen. There you go. Hamilton's communication with his engineer just hasn't gelled yet. It may not even, though. May not ever, though, says Warren. It's difficult, though, isn't it? Because it's the other thing as well. It's a whole. This is what I kind of get out a lot. It's a whole different culture at Ferrari versus any other team. So adapting's not easy. I think if Hamilton had his way, I don't know this for sure, this is pure speculation, but I suspect he would have liked Bono to go with him. But did Bono want to up sticks and have to move to Italy? And, you know, did Ferrari want an outsider as part of their team? They do like to promote from within, don't they, when they can? Not always, of course, not always. But yeah, so we've got yellow flag infringements for Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda and Russell. They will all be investigated after the session. So I did say they'd probably look at it. They kind of have to, don't they, as stewards? They can't not look at that. But from the replays we've seen of Tsunoda, I think he might be okay. But now Croft is having his usual moan about deciding this after the session. So yeah, it was good. It was good to see Roman back in an F1 car. Actually, and I said it in the preview. I loved his line about how his last F1 race standing start was Bahrain 2020, and this one went better than that. It's like, yeah, slight understatement there, Roman. You know, you did exit the track in a flaming fireball, not a flaming fire, a fireball, and a big explosion, and you know, basically without being too brutal about it, very nearly burned to death. But yeah, just a little bit better than the last time you had a standing start, just a tad. I watched, when I see replays of that now, it still makes me think, Jesus Christ, the shots are the shots of the flames in the background as he climbs out from the flames. It's like bloody hell. How he survived that, Jesus. Actually, quickly, 10 seconds to go. After that incident, and it was quite obvious that Halo had saved his life, I actually took the Halo rant down from 2017 because it just didn't feel that it was appropriate anymore, even though it was a stupid rant, and I rectified it a few months later. But anyway, we are indeed go for Q2. Come on, Sean, Q2. Although the red light's still on at the end of the pit lane. So the red light's on. The clock has now reset. The green flag is flying. I don't know what's happening. But now we've gone back to 50. So the session has not started. Q2 has not started. Still hasn't started. We'll now start at 21:32. They're going to give us another minute's delay. So I assume there's still some marshals out there somewhere, or something's going on. So I don't know what's happening here. They've now delayed it further. They're all queued, as far as I can see. Pretty much everyone's queued. So I don't know. Is there a light failure? Is there somebody still out on track? A marshal? There we go. Now we're green. We are go for Q2. We got there in the end. We got there in the end. That all got a bit confusing there. Not sure what that was about, but it could have been a marshal still on track. Although there were no yellow flags out there, and could have just been a timing error or something wrong with something. I don't know, but we are go for Q2, confirmed, and everyone's straight out on track. Verstappen leading the way. We will miss Roman, that's a fact. He was a good guy. I think Roman. Yeah, I used to give Dan a lot of grief about being a Grosjean fan, didn't I? For the just because it was fun winding him up. But I think he was a bit underappreciated as a driver as well. He actually achieved quite a lot in his career. Never got that win, but yeah, he had a few moments where he wasn't far away, and he gave Kimi Räikkönen a good run for his money at times. And yeah, he was all right. Was Roman. Big gamble as well going to Haas when he didn't. It didn't win in world championships or races or even podiums, but he got some good point scoring done and did a great job there. So it wasn't a terrible move. So yeah, I liked Roman. He was a nice guy as well, or seemed to be a nice guy from what we see. Yeah, the Phoenix. It's a cool name. Definitely a cool name. No problem. I'll always answer questions. Try not to spam though, chat. I don't think I've seen a couple of people spam a few questions, but I'll always try and answer what I can, but I've got to keep an eye on the action as well. But if I don't catch your question, it's not because I'm ignoring you. Don't worry. Unless it's a really, really stupid question, then I might ignore you. I'm just having a moment there just to think about what we want to talk about while we're waiting for these cars to get around. But Verstappen's already coming around to start his lap. He's flown around there to get on with it. So it might be a bit of traffic, but should get out of the way. He's got Leclerc at turn 1, but he's on the pit exit, so should stay well out of the way. See what Max can do. He's in the mix. More than I think people thought he would be, but I'm intrigued to see how this all shakes out now, because obviously we'll get quicker this session and quicker again. The track is still ramping up. Drivers are going to push harder as the session goes on, so we might get a more definitive idea of where everyone is, but it's not the McLaren dominance I was expecting ahead of this weekend. I really thought, even though I went some said a bit left field with predictions, picking Verstappen for pole and the win. It felt a bit risky at the time, but as the weekend's gone on, that's not the case. But I did think, honestly, coming into this weekend, McLaren were going to be comfortably the team to beat. And at the moment, they are possibly still the team to beat, but not comfortably. They're not dominating. So, and that's a good thing. I want to see this as open as possible between now and the end of the season. Even if it's still a McLaren Drivers' Championship winner, it doesn't matter. It's just, I want to see some great racing and lots of action. We've got the visor cam with Verstappen. Now we've cut away from that, but we've gone to the helicopter shot, looking down on the lit up circuit. Did I hear? I might be wrong. I can't remember what the numbers were, but it's like the brightest sporting event in the world or something. I can't remember. It was like 5 or 10 times something like that, the amount of a stadium or whatever. But that's not a surprise. They've got to see what they're doing. It's slightly different, isn't it, to other sports? Oof. Kick up some dust there, Max, and it's a 29.7. That's a really good opening gambit there from Max Verstappen. But we'll see if that gets beaten quickly. Bearman does a 1:30.2, half a second off. Red Raven thought that there would be odd results here for sure. I mean, to be fair, when you look back over the years, we've had dominant teams turn up here, like Mercedes, for example, and struggle, haven't we? So maybe I was wrong for the game. It's just something about Singapore just felt like it was going to be a McLaren weekend. I don't know why. Probably just my weird delusions. You know what I'm like. I mean, the predictions are not my forte, are they? Clearly, I'll keep doing them, but only because it's hilarious when I'm so wrong. Russell's had a lap time deleted. We'll see what's next. So Hadjar's only 3, nearly 4 tenths off Verstappen. So I say only, but you know, in a Racing Bulls, that's not bad at all. Alonso goes third. He was fastest in FP1, wasn't he, Fernando Alonso? So let's see if we can get him up there. Get him up there again today. That'd be quite hilarious, but I'm not expecting a sudden Aston Martin surprise. Used tyres, by the way, for Lawson, Russell, Norris, Antonelli, Piastri, everyone else on new tyres, just so you're aware. So just bear that in mind. Lawson, for example, goes 6th. Not too far off his teammate, actually, to be fair. A couple of tenths off on used tyres. That's not bad from Liam Lawson at all. So a little bit surprised, actually, that he's bounced back so quickly. So he went well here, though, didn't he, when he stood in for Ricciardo? Not last year, year before. Maybe it's just a circuit he enjoys. Sky Germany had the best video title for FP1, The Old Man and the City of Lions. That's great. At least they go with a rookie joke. That's something. We're in Q2. Q2's on now. We're well into it, actually, already. We've got 9.5 minutes left of it. So it's flying by, as you'd expect with qualifying. Often does. I'm trying to work out where Antonelli 700th off Verstappen goes second. Here is Lando Norris. Goes third, fastest, a couple of tenths off. He's on used tyres, of course, as is Antonelli, so still time there for both of those. Same for Piastri, who's gone purple in the middle sector, so maybe not that much time left to fight for Piastri. If that's what he's doing on used tyres, that's going to maybe wake up or get a few people to sit up and take notice now. He's had one of those weekends, Piastri, where he's sort of not really been... He's not been slow, but he's not been all that rapid. He's not come in and dominated. And everyone's sort of like, oh, is he having a bad weekend? But as we've seen before, he can have what appears to be a bad weekend in practice and then rock up and just take pole and then disappear tomorrow. He's capable of doing that. We've seen that this season. So, Antonelli lap time deleted. He drops down to, last place, 15th at the moment. So, that was at turn 2. Hamilton coming through 16 and 17 now. Through what will be the detection point for DRS tomorrow, and then round the final couple of weirdish corners. That's good corners, to be fair. And goes third place on a fresh set of softs. His teammate also on a fresh set. Charles Leclerc, he's currently coming up to turn 16 now. Russell just ahead of him, which should be clear. Let's see what he can do here, Charles. Is he going to get inside that top 3 or 4? He's not. And he's nowhere near it. A 130.472 puts him 13th. That's on a fresh set of softs. So has he had a bad sector somewhere, Leclerc? Not really. I mean, 3/10 off in the middle, but everything else is sort of matching Verstappen. No, it isn't. I'm lying. Sorry, that's half a second off it. So that's 8/10. There you go. That's where the time is. Final sector. So there's going to be a mistake here. There you go. Sideways. That's Hamilton. Yeah, no, he was. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong times there. He was about half a second off in the final sector. But that's surprising from Leclerc on the fresh tyres. Here we go. We might get an idea here. On board with him. So this is... Oh, he hits the wall. That's why. That won't have helped his times at all. But that's left rear and then left front. So it's bang, bang. So that won't have helped his lap time. So that might explain where some of that time has gone. And then Antonelli at turn 2 is going to go in way too hot. And there you go. Yep, track limits. That was tight, though, to be fair. Just a reminder, Sean Piastri was first and second in the three free practices. Oh yeah, I know he wasn't. I'm not talking about him being last already. I didn't mean he was well off the pace. I just mean it wasn't feeling like one of those weekends where he was gonna dominate it like McLaren in general. And when we've had weekends like that before, people have been like, "Oh, is Norris going to find the speed? And is he going to make the difference? And is this just going to be Piastri missing out?" Always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of weekend. So he is capable of sort of ignoring all of that and then just going to stick it on pole. That's kind of... I didn't explain it very well. I appreciate it. I did make it sound like he was like 18th all weekend. But that's that one. I'm reading Matt and Tommy's chat, and geez, these guys outside qualifying. No offense to new fans, though. Just not fun to read. I like the no offense to new fans. I appreciate that because it's everyone starts somewhere, don't they? But I've got a few years on new F1 fans. Only a few. I can't bother to do the maths. 1992. Someone work it out. What? 33 years. God, I've been watching this. Jesus, that's a long time. I've seen some things, man, and some stuff. What's that from? Family Guy, I think. What's going on with Charles? I don't know, Takira. I'm trying to work out why he's down there. Like his final sector was... They're going to change his front wing. So he hit the wall. Sort of his left rear hit the wall, then his left front hit the wall. Like duff. But I don't know if was that likely to lose him 8/10. I suppose, yeah, you'd have to back out of it, wouldn't you? So, yeah, that could be what did it. But the final sector was way off. Kimi's lap time was deleted, Darren, for track limits at turn 2. Pretty much everyone I expect will go out on new tyres. They might put Max out on... No, he's out on new tyres, isn't he? So, yeah. Singapore just looks great under the lights, doesn't it? It just also looks like a crazy place. That hotel with the... I can't remember what it's called now. They say it every year with the ship, if you like, on top of it. That, madness. Love it. Oh, big slide. Back end out on the exit of 2 and 3 there. Or 3, sorry, for Antonelli. Very nearly hit the wall. He's pushing hard. Lit it all up there. So that would have cost him a bit of time. But he's pushing hard. He needs this lap, I think, really. Just try and get the lap in, I'd say. In fact, yeah, slower in the first sector than he had been before. A 10th, nearly 2 tenths down this best time. Oh, is it your hometown? Oh, I think you said the other week it was your hometown. Sorry. I forgot about that. I think I meant to mention that, but yeah, no. Are you at the race tomorrow, Takeru? Somebody told me they're at the race this weekend, and I can't remember who it was. It may have been you, and I'm so sorry if I forgot, but forgive me. You've already witnessed on this stream, if you're here earlier, how quickly I can forget what I'm saying. So, Antonelli purple in the middle sector, 37.4. So, yeah, my point is, if I can't remember things midstream, then I can't remember what I said 2 weeks ago, so sorry. I do try. The cars look great on the lights. I just wish they were the old shiny, glossy paint, Michael. I know weight issues and all of that, and, whatever, but they did look better. Nice, shiny, glossy red Ferrari. Antonelli does go fastest on a 1:29.6, so back end out all over the place in turn 3. Still goes fastest. So fresh set of tyres, track evolving. We'll see this through. Takeru not bought a ticket for this year. Are they expensive? Like Silverstone in the UK seems ludicrously expensive, but I wonder, is Singapore relatively cheap in comparison to some others? Thank you very much. Hello, says coffee for you. Thank you for your super chat, mate. I'll give you a love heart on there. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. I could do with a coffee, actually. Yeah. So Russell's gone fastest now, 29.5. Mercedes have turned up. They've been kind of around all weekend, to be fair, as I said earlier, but Max is on one as well, improving in the first and second sectors, purple in the third, and goes second fastest, 100th of a second between the top two there. Projected knockout time is a 1:30 flat. That leaves pretty much everyone for Norris down in a bit of bother, so this is going to be interesting. Norris needs a good lap. What's he doing? Improving in the first sector, pretty much matching Max Verstappen in second, ever so slightly quicker, actually. Ever so slightly quicker. Hadjar's doing all right out there at the moment. Few tenths down on Max, but he's going to improve here, is Isaac Hadjar, if he keeps it clean to the end of the lap. I'm not expecting to be threatening for a top 2 or 3, but he might get himself inside the top 6 hit. Just improving his time. I was going to choke them. Stay 7th, but he's improved his time. So 1:30 flat is still going to be close for him. I'd be surprised if he lost out here. Bearman goes 8th. So Norris is improving as well. I said that earlier he was doing all right. It's a bit bumpy through there, but it's quite a bumpy track in place. It is a street track, don't forget. Obviously, it's F1. They all seem to be street tracks these days, or it feels like it. 4th place for Lando Norris and just ahead of Piastri. So this is going to be interesting, isn't it? This Q3. Interesting. Leclerc's in trouble, by the way. Leclerc's in big trouble. Not improving in the first sector at all. In fact, he's a whole 15 thousandths down on his best time. So it's not a million miles away, but this needs to be a good lap for Leclerc. A bit of pressure here. He does improve in the middle, so he's 3 tenths up on Albon to get through, so that will do for him, and it is his fastest as well. So he's finding speed here, Leclerc, and he should improve, because his first sector was quick, wasn't it? His second sector was 3 tenths down on the fastest time, and his final sector was about 8 tenths down on the fastest time, so he should improve throughout this. He should be okay here, Leclerc. That was famous last words. That was stupid, sure, wasn't it? Over the line he goes. Yeah, he's fine. P6. Just a little bit nervy there, but he's okay. He's through. But I think I'm making sure everyone's done their lap before I declare the bottom 5. Oh, Yuki. I've just spotted Yuki down there. Oops. Yeah, that's it. So Hulkenberg out. Albon out. Sainz is out. Lawson is out. Tsunoda out. I'd argue the biggest surprise there is probably the Williams drivers, actually. 12th and 13th. I thought they'd be a bit higher than that come the session, but great lap from Alonso, by the way, for 9th. Said keep an eye on him, didn't I? You know what he's like. Bearman makes top 10 as well, but not a lot in it. Hulkenberg 600ths away from Bearman. Albon only 600ths further back. 300ths back to Sainz. 800ths back to Lawson. 300ths back to Tsunoda. So it's really tight between each of the cars there, and it's, it's where the driver makes a difference. But Albon and Sainz probably have the biggest shock there for me on that session. I thought one of them at least would be through, but no. Neither Williams is into Q3. So we've got Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, Hadjar, Alonso, and Ollie Bearman in the top 10 for the Q3 qualifying shootout, which will be about 3 or 4 minutes away, I imagine. There'll be a slight delay to that one. But yes. What are you saying in chat? Russell? Question mark. Right. It's hot, for God's sake. I say hot. There'll be people now in really hot countries going, don't be stupid. I mean, it's 30 degrees, 29.8 degrees air, 34.5 track. 29.8 degrees is about 20 degrees hotter than I like it to be. So there you go. Alonso always gives us hope. He always gives us hope. So apparently let's have a look what ticket, because I asked Takira some questions. So one ticket is around $200 to $300, but again it depends on what zone and location you plan to go to. Bob says here in Canada there $500 cheapest for a ticket. I just see somebody say, yeah, Paula says Hungary isn't too expensive. Spa is the opposite. Hungary is a good weekend, apparently, if you go for a weekend of F1. Apparently it's quite good. Yeah, so not... I can't remember what the number was now. The parking in Silverstone was ludicrous this year, or for the next season, so I know that, but yeah. Yeah, true. Canadian dollars or Singapore dollars. Need to be careful. I imagine it'd be Singapore dollars and then Canadian dollars for those two, but still. I'm not going to sit here and do conversions. Yeah. I want to see Alonso win because his celebrations are amazing. I just want to see Alonso win. That was something he said, wasn't it? While we were in the gap between sessions, that was something he said a couple of... maybe this week or last week. He was saying that if he has a competitive car next year, he's more likely to retire than if he has an uncompetitive car. So he's sort of saying there he wants to go out on top, doesn't he? He wants to have a good season and then retire rather than have a bad season trundling around at the back. So if Aston Martin have a bad car next year, I'm not saying they will do, but if they do, he might end up doing another couple of seasons yet. So it just sounds like him, Lewis Hamilton, no intentions of going anywhere at the moment. So although it was interesting to hear Fernando talking about retirement, so that's starting to become a thing. But, he is 94, to be fair, bless him. So... He's not even that much older than me. That's just so bad. All I want to see this weekend is Max getting close to Norris and Piastri. Says swap. As I said, zone-wise, and if you plan to watch the concert here as well, they have a good concert in Singapore, don't they? Generally get some big names there. Silverstone tend to get a washed-up 90s pop star or something like that. Or what feels like it for the most part. Well, the times I've been, we've seen Texas, who are great, so that wasn't a fair comment, and Scouting for Girls, and Mel C, who was dire, frankly. Absolutely dire. Yeah. Mike and the Mechanics one year as well, I think we were there when we were there, so, we no, I'm trying to think of really, like, somebody... cool and young. No Paul McCartney's. I don't know. Quick, where's Spotify? Hang on 1 second. Don't press play. Dua Lipa. There you go. Anyway. That was just embarrassing for everybody, wasn't it, really? Q3 time. We're just waiting for it to start now, so going to be a couple of minutes yet. They did say 21:55 local time, so 3 minutes from now we should be going for Q3. Oh yeah, Baby Spice is here. yeah. Baby Spice is cool. I like Emma Bunton. She's great sport as well. Yeah, I've answered the questions, Bob. I'm not going to keep answering them. Yeah. Albon didn't make it, no, unfortunately. He was, a bit more than that, isn't it? So, a tenth and a half off in the end. So, it was quite close. If you plan to travel to Singapore, bring a fan and lots of water. Yeah. Farting Golf Ball says, what's a Dua Lipa? Yeah, I don't know. Apparently somebody famous. There we go. Yeah, I'm not good with heat at all. Never have been, ever. But I'm very much a Radio 2 guy now, not a lot of Radio 1, so I don't really get a lot of the up-to-date hits. And I watch Top of the Pops 1998 at the minute on on a Friday night for nostalgia, so yes, I was a chef. I mean, technically I still am. I'm qualified, so I still have my qualifications, but it's not something I plan to go back into anytime soon. Although who knows, but yeah. I watched that last night, CPB, the Adam and the Ants Prince Charming on Top of the Pops 2. Yeah, you see. Or is it just called Top of the Pops now rather than Top of the Pops 2? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're just showing the championship top 3 on that hotel thing because look at what we can do. Favourite meal to cook? Yeah, look, it's a bit cliche, but you can't beat a proper good spag bowl. Spaghetti bolognese. But anything Italian. I love cooking Italian food, even though it's quite simple in some ways. But yeah. Or a proper nice homemade curry from scratch. If you get it right with a proper homemade curry, it can take a couple of days to make because you want to make sure everything's marinated. And yeah. Welcome to the food word. Or the F word. That was Gordon Ramsay's show, wasn't it? Aldas's dad. But here we go. We go for Q3. We are going for Q3. And we've been invited. Me and my other half have been invited to Marco Pierre White's restaurant that's opening in Lincoln. If we can get. So that'd be quite cool. I'll review it for you all. I'll tell you how good it was or how pretentious it was. I don't know. But anyway, we are going for Q3. How are we here? We're here. Everyone going to head out on track relatively quickly, I think. Some will be on used tyres. Alonso and Bearman are already on used tyres out there. So, yeah. We'll see what happens here with who's going to go out and use and who's on the... I'm trying to see if this is updated quick. It's not, is it? So, Hadjar on a new set. Oh, no, used set. That's going to change now, isn't it? I hope not. I hope he's not pretentious. I mean, Jamie Oliver's only got... I mean, he's sort of not doing that sort of thing. He's got one restaurant, is it, left, Jamie Oliver? In London, I believe. He might have more, but I'm sure he had one. Because he had to close quite a few, didn't he? I've always wanted to go to Hell's Kitchen when they're filming, but apparently, as I found out the other day, it's all actors and friends and family that are invited to they're not actually people off the street that just turn up and book a table, which is sad. Because I'd love to have heard that for real. I can go a bit Ramsey when I'm busy in the kitchen. Not quite as abusive. Not far off, though. Yeah, everyone heading out. So, used tyres so far for Bearman, Alonso, Leclerc, definitely. Hadjar, possibly. They're just trying to work that out on the timing. Everybody else apparently on new tyres who's out on track, which is... Well, yeah, Hamilton, Piastri, Norris, yeah, Antonelli, Russell, Verstappen, not a great surprise. It's usually your tail-end top 10s, isn't it, that go out on a used set initially. Red Raven says, before we get moving, like the streamer, I will be the one cooking the lot of you on high flame till charcoal. Unnecessarily abusive. We're 18 away, by the way, from 100. I like to get to 100 likes, so please do drop a like on the stream, and we'll go from there. Try and get to 100, then I can stop asking. But also, by the way, thank you to everyone. I didn't realise we have quite so many here today. Usually it's not quite so many, and that's why I'm a bit more Larry and sarcastic and talking about random topics. So apologies if it's not your thing, but thank you for joining us. It's great to have your support. Likes and subs and all of that business, always appreciated. And yeah, get your predictions in as well. It's probably a bit late for predictions now, but if you have got a prediction, Red Raven, highly deserved, and everyone here knows it. There you go. Red Raven's really angry today, but yeah, no, I'm not gonna be going for predictions now. It's a bit late in the day, really. Never trust a skinny chef, says Grumpy Stiltskin. I was told that weirdly in training when I wasn't as large as I am now. Yeah, we'll not get into that. That's a conversation for another day that gets a bit personal. But yeah, I used to be a lot smaller than I am now. But I never trust a skinny chef, and I was like, right, fine, I must be fat then. That's why I put weight on, just to make a point. Over the line goes Russell, 128, 129.1, not a 28. We're not far from the 28, so Bearman a 130.1, a second between them. But yeah, Bearman on the used soft side. Be surprised if he's in the battle for pole position today. A real surprise, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. We might get a shock. We're not going to get a shock. Antonelli does a 129.5 and goes second. He's on a fresh set, though, so that's nearly 4/10. Let's say just over 3.5. Let's be optimistic today rather than pessimistic. 3.5 tenths just over off it. Time of day in Blighty. It is nearly 3 p.m. Hello. If you mean how long have I been in Blighty, 39 years. Wait, we were talking. What was talking about there? Yeah, so Antonelli 3.5 tenths off. Hadjar goes third. They're on new tyres. Hadjar is on new tyres apparently. Over the line goes Norris, only third on a fresh set. Our Mercedes a bit of a surprise here. That's a big gap as well. 4 tenths to George Russell. So that is a cracking lap from Russell. We should have known that from the 29.1 to be fair. That was immediately posted. Leclerc, I'm not expecting much here. Goes fourth. Use set as well. George hit the wall. So he hit the wall and still did that lap time. That's even more impressive, Takeru. That's even more impressive. Mind the Dip says, thanks for streaming. Watch for San Diego. Thank you very much, Mind the Dip. You're welcome. Thank you for coming along and joining me this afternoon. Always love just sitting talking F1. That's all this is. I'm an F1 fan like you guys, and I just like spending time with other F1 fans. Nothing else about it, or nothing else to it, really. So I appreciate how you are. Samuel's in Dubai. Hey, Samuel. Hope you're well, mate. Piastri goes second, still 3.5 tenths off Russell though, so maybe hitting the wall is the way to do this. Don't tell Piastri he's still getting over Baku. Max Verstappen round the final corner again. I mean, he's purple in the final 2 sectors, but still a tenth and 2/3 off, or whatever, or 3/4, whatever you want to. Yeah, nearly 2 tenths off. There you go. It's quite. Where's Russell come from? Let's have a replay of him hitting the wall. That might be the answer. Wall assisted lap is what Martin Brundle's called that. Let's have a look then. So through he comes through 16, 17. He just grazed the wall, doesn't he? Ooh. It's not a. No, it's hard enough. It's not a huge whack, but it's hard enough. So there you go. Aim for that tyre mark, everyone, and maybe you'll find yourself a couple of tenths. Just like it was in NASCAR. Yeah, secret strategy, hit the wall. Is it the rubbing is racing thing as well? Oh, and Piastri hit the wall and didn't go quicker than Verstappen, so maybe it isn't the wall. I mean, he's quicker than Antonelli and Norris, so that's something, but where a Ferrari? Come on. Billy says, will Ferrari be better next year with the new regulations? I hope so, Billy. The problem with Ferrari is they might keep an eye on the winter. If they start talking in the winter about how good their car is, then they're probably going to be terrible. If they don't say a lot, they're probably going to be really, really good. I find that when teams are quiet, they're quietly confident. When they're bragging about their car or whatever, they're generally not that great. So trying to get the sponsors on board nice and early. Try to think of a good example of that with Ferrari. There was one in 2020. Well, in 2020, to be fair, people were saying around Maranello the car was worse than expected, and it was diabolical, wasn't it? So maybe that's not a fair measure anymore. But I think Red Raven's I've not even read the full thing and I know exactly what he's going to say. He says they will initially give us hope and then spontaneously combust as usual. Yeah. Right then. One surname in chat. Who's getting pole position? Russell, Verstappen, Piastri, Antonelli, Norris, or are we getting a surprise? Let me know. We've got 4 minutes to go. They're just heading out again. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. I need the points on my predictions. Come on, Max. But yeah, get a surname in chat. Let me know. You've got a few minutes to get it done. Let's see who you think it's going to be, or a first name, or a nickname. I don't mind which. Just go for it. But yeah, let me know. I'll keep an eye and see if we've got a general consensus. But Yuki says Kevin. Yeah, Yuki's going to get another chance. I think. Yeah, Ted Kravitz just said that Lewis has run out of tyres, Hamilton, so he's going to have to run a used set here. So don't expect much here from Lewis Hamilton to threaten. Just a couple of people get their Hamilton predictions. Sorry, guys, I should have said that before, but he is heading out on used tyres. You never know. We've seen some drivers go quicker on used tyres, but I'd be surprised if he's going to find nearly 6 tenths of a second, assuming no one else improves on a used set of soft tyres. But then I suppose it depends how used they are, doesn't it? If they've done an outlap and that's it, then they might be okay, but... a few people going, not many going Russell actually. You only seen 2 for Russell, but a few people going Verstappen, Hulkenberg for Yori. Yeah, he's gonna come back out and break the rules. Why not? So's Yuki, so we may as well. Stoffel Van Dorn, of course, will be the real winner of all of this. Just to let you know as well, I will be live tomorrow with the race watch along from I believe 12:30. UK time. Race at 1 p.m. UK time. So we'll be live tomorrow. So make sure you join me for that one. We like to have a good laugh during the race, especially if it gets a bit flat. We tend to go a little bit nuts. But yeah, always enjoy that. So I know a lot of people prefer to watch the race rather than listen to me. I understand that. But yeah, please do pop along tomorrow. It'll be great to have you there. I'll have some stuff to talk to you about as well. So please do join me for that one, which is good. That sounded rather ominous, didn't it? It is a bit ominous, but it's nothing to worry about. But yeah, just be good to have you on board. Whatever time you turn up, it'd be great to have you there. Always nice to spend some time with some fellow F1 fans. It used to feel quite niche to be an F1 fan, and now it feels like everybody is. So, you know, all the better. Thank you, Baby Spice. Appreciate that. And it's great to have you in chat again. Good to see you. Favourite Spice Girl as well. So there you go. Norris goes past Piastri, who is on an outlap by the look of it. Norris on his first or his second flying run of this session. His first one of this part of Q3. But I suppose it's going to be his only one, isn't it? I mean, we've got 1:45 to go. So good shout, actually. I mean, Norris is 2/10 down on Russell already. Warren's surprised Hamilton didn't try the mediums. I mean, he might be thinking about the race tomorrow, but it's a good shout. I mean, they might have hung on really nicely for the lap. It's the best Spice Girl, Baby Spice. That's why. Not just as a Spice Girl, but everything she's done since. And, you know, yeah. I'll be here if you wear a different T-shirt. What shirt do you want me to wear, Zodiac? Give me a team and I'll tell you if I've got one for that team. Norris is not on. I will see his middle sector here, but he's improving on his own time in the middle sector. But he's still 2/10 down overall, so he needs a mega final sector. And I will try and stop headbutting this bloody microphone. It needs to be quite close, so it's yeah. It's a bit sensitive. Russell isn't improving either, so we need to see what Max Verstappen's doing. Where is Max? He's not started his lap yet. Hadjar is... Keep an eye on Hadjar here. He's quicker than Norris in the first sector. Norris stays 5th, doesn't improve at all. So that is where he's going to be tomorrow at best. But I tell you what, he's had a bad middle sector, Hadjar. What's happened to Hadjar? 52.7. Oh, I jinxed him. I ruined his day. It's all my fault. Hadjar was on one there. I'll see if I can find a Red Bull shirt for you. I've got one somewhere. I'm sure I have. It might be my big baggy Max Verstappen one. Leclerc sideways coming through 17. Through the final 2 corners, twitching all over the place. Charles Leclerc stays 7th. That was not a good lap at all. It was all over the place in that final sector. George Russell is purple in the middle sector. Max Verstappen is going to be last across the line here. Of course he is. Round the final corner comes Antonelli. Russell stays first. Obviously. Odds on provisional pole. I'm just keeping an eye here on Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen a 10th down in the first sector on George Russell, but is improving. Hamilton, not really. He's improved in the middle sector, Hamilton, to be fair. Crofty's getting excited about something. I don't know what. I mean, it's qualified, so maybe it's just the drama. Alonso does improve, but stays 10th. Actually, to be honest, I didn't expect him in the top 10, so that's still not a bad result. Around the final couple of corners comes Lewis Hamilton on those used tyres. Stays 6th. Not a great surprise. Verstappen's a 10th and a half down the middle sector. I think George Russell is on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix. But Max Verstappen, you know what he's like. He's got a final sector to do yet. You never know. We'll just wait and see what he does. We'll see it over the line. You never know. He's backed out of it. So George Russell on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix. Max Verstappen P2. Oscar Piastri P3. Kimi Antonelli P4. Lando Norris in 5th place. We'll go through the times and everything properly in a moment for the timestamp for those that tune in later for the result and the post-session waffle. But there you go. Russell on pole. Who picked Russell? You've just won a point. I don't know what that point wins you, but you've just won a point. There you go. Why not? Cracking lap from Russell. And again, hot, humid. Great drive from the Mercedes there. In fact, 2 in the top 4. Norris, P5. I'd like to see a replay of his final lap, actually. Because that's... middle sector was just... It was okay, but... 2/10 down. I mean, where is he overall? He's over 4/10 behind at the end of that whole lap. So that's a surprise. What's Verstappen going to say? He's swearing on the radio. He's not happy about something. Maybe just frustrated with himself. But yeah, there we go. There you go. I thought Hadjar. I mean, look. The reason I said keep an eye on Isaac Hadjar was that he did a 26.6 in the first sector, which was 6.10, I should say, which was quicker than Alonso, Bearman, Leclerc, Hamilton, Norris, and not a million miles away from Piastri and Verstappen. So I just thought he might be on for a surprise, but then he did a 52.7 in the middle sector. So whether he got some traffic or caught the wall, made a mistake, I don't know. But that's why I got a bit excited for Hadjar for a second there, but didn't work out. But that is that's a bit of another... I know it's only the qualifying, but that's another kick, isn't it, in the gut for Lando Norris, really. His definite championship rival, teammate Oscar Piastri, 2 places ahead of him. His outsider championship rival, Max Verstappen, up in second place. So that's a surprise. But Russell Verstappen could be quite fun on the front row. They might not make it to turn 3. Let's see what happens. But Leclerc was really frustrated over the line, to be fair. I'm going to take a quick pause, have a quick drink, then we'll run through the order. We'll watch some reaction, and I'll do some more chat. But if you are disappearing, because I know some of you will, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Please do come along for the race tomorrow. It'll be just as waffly and weird, but it'll be great to have your company. And please do drop a like and sub before you go. Appreciate the support. It's great to have you with me. But I'm going to have a quick drink, and we will be live for I'd say a good 20 minutes to half an hour yet. So if you are sticking around, give me 15 seconds. I'll be back with you. Here we go. George Russell is on pole position for the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix with a 129.158, nearly 2/10 quicker than Max Verstappen in second place. Cracking lap from George Russell, actually, in the end. And yeah, enough for pole position, so he'll be happy. Max Verstappen seemed a bit frustrated over the radio. Maybe just feels there's more time on the table there. Oscar Piastri, P3, kind of doing what he needs to do in some ways, just maximising his best result he can, and then pick up the points tomorrow and beat his teammate. Antonelli, P4, good stuff from him. He's on a bit of a run at the moment, isn't he? So great to see. Lando Norris only P5, not a great lap, over 4/10 behind pole sitter George Russell, but not that far off his teammate, to be fair. Lewis Hamilton 6th and Charles Leclerc 7th. Hamilton only had a U set of softs for that final run, so actually not a bad final run in the end. Charles Leclerc very frustrated as he crossed the line, all over the place in the final few corners, actually. Isaac Hadjar, he was 8th, but was on a lap that looked like it might be something special, but then had a bad middle sector, and that was the end of that for him. Ollie Bearman 9th, and Fernando Alonso rounding out the top 10. Nico Hulkenberg 11th. Once upon a time that was midfield pole with the old tyre rules. We don't have those anymore though, unfortunately, so just P11. Alex Albon in 12th and Carlos Sainz 13th. Probably the two of the biggest surprises of the day. I really thought Williams would be in the top 10 today. They weren't. Liam Lawson 14th. Sure, his teammate's 8th, but actually I think that's a fair way to bounce back, and a good way to bounce back from his couple of crashes this weekend. So not bad in the grand scheme of things. Also in the shootout for potentially a seat at Racing Bulls next year with Yuki Tsunoda, he beat him as well. So Tsunoda only 15th and under investigation. I'll go through that in just a second. Gabriel Bortoleto 16th, Lance Stroll 17th, and Colapinto 18th. Yes, Gasly made a mistake, but Colapinto still out-qualified him, so good stuff from him. Ocon only 19th and Gasly in 20th. He went straight on with some sort of car issue in Q1, brought out the yellow flags as he stops at the side of the track and has caused a bit of chaos, but not Gasly's weekend to this point, really. The incident involving Gasly, Stroll, Antonelli, Hadjar, Bortoleto and Hulkenberg, no further action for following or failing to follow the race director's instructions for the maximum delta time. That was race director's instructions, in case you're missing. But also investigated after the session for a yellow flag infringement will be Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda and Russell. Ooh. Didn't realise George was on that one, or I forgot, so let's see what the stewards say there. That pole position is going to be provisional for a little while, I think. So let's see what happens. So, yes, that is your top 20. Just look at the top 10 at a glance, really. I think that's a good grid. I think that's a good grid for a good race tomorrow. That's going to be really interesting. It's turn one. You know, Piastri's got to be a little bit careful. Antonelli still wants to prove a point. Norris needs to gain some positions as quickly as he can. Verstappen and Russell into turn one. Who knows what could happen? So that could be really, really tasty down there tomorrow, which is going to be exciting. Looking forward to that very much. And I think Hadjar and Bearman, watching them racing with Alonso and maybe challenging those ahead potentially could be a lot of fun. But have we got any cars massively out of position, do we think? Maybe the Williams drivers, perhaps. Maybe Lawson, but yeah, I think that's a nice top 5 there for tomorrow. Looking forward to it. So, Russell technically cancelled after his first lap, so no penalty apparently. So that's one. I can't see it, but I don't know. It's gone. They've taken their comment away, so I might be wrong. But yeah, if it's no further action, then that's fine. But I just has it come up as no further action? Where is it? So, incident involving those cars, investigate session, green light, session will start, green light, lap time deleted, lap time deleted, lap time... Oh, yeah, no, it is there, sorry, ignore me, yeah, no, sorry, everyone. I didn't catch that, I completely missed it when I was scrolling through. Yeah, Q1 incident involving Russell, no further action, yellow flag infringement, so it is just Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda under investigation, which changes... I mean, if they get penalised, then they'll lose places. But I mean, it's not gonna destroy their day, is it? Maybe Hulkenberg it will. But yeah, sorry, I didn't catch the Russell one. It's a lot of stuff comes through here with DRS being disabled and yellow flags and that. So there you go. Russell's fine. He's fine. Absolutely fine. Who was it cruising 2 seconds in front of Max? Not Oscar, says Warren. It was a McLaren. I know that. But is that what Max was mad about on the radio? Is that what you're getting at, Warren? I'm not sure. Can Max win this tomorrow? Yeah, of course. Yeah, he absolutely can. He absolutely can. Yeah. That turn one's critical. Of course it's critical, especially around a street track. But I'd be interested tomorrow. Max said coming this weekend he has nothing to lose going for this championship. How will he feel if there's a half move on tomorrow? Let's see. It's Max Verstappen. If there's a quarter move on tomorrow, he's sticking his car in there, isn't he? So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. GP says you can thank your teammate for that. I assume that means Norris, says Dennis. Okay. I did see the McLaren. I didn't think the McLaren was causing... Does he feel that Norris is impeding him there at all? I don't think you can. Do we think that was impeding? I've just shown a replay of it. I don't think that's... Oh, Kimi Antonelli sideways coming onto the bridge. Goodness me. Yeah, do we... I guess a couple of seconds up the road, it's the turbulent air, isn't it? But what do you want him to do? I don't know. That's odd. I don't know if there's much in that, but that's what Hadjar got wrong. And yeah, there you go. He's so frustrated as well. They just showed he went in way too hot and had to back right out of it to avoid the barrier. That's why he lost all that time in the middle sector. It was a great first sector, to be fair. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, I'm not sure that's. I guess the turbulent air within a couple of seconds, you're going to be impacted. But Norris is coming into the pits. Yeah, I'm not saying the stewards won't even look at that, but I'm not sure that's worth getting wound up about. I mean, I don't think he'd have got pole anyway. It would have closed the gap to Russell maybe, but I don't think he'd have got pole. I'm not sure on that one myself, but. Dorian says Max does the inside lane turn one. P2 was on purpose. There you go. It's all part of that. Not so much impeding as being a distraction that he didn't need at the time. Says Red Raven. Yeah, that's fair, but I don't think there's anything there to. And I'm not saying you're saying that either, Red Raven. There's nothing there to be for the stewards to get involved at. But yeah, Q3's all over. It's all over now. We have our grid. Russell, Verstappen, Piastri, Antonelli, Norris is your top 5. If you want to know where your favourite driver is, give me a shout. Get your questions in chat. We'll do some Q&A for the next 10-15 minutes and then we'll call it there because I'm back tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. BST. clocks haven't moved yet, so it is BST for the race watch along. Lights out at 1 p.m. UK time. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's race. Singapore's a demanding one as well. As we saw last year with Lando Norris, you can be comfortably clear out front and still nearly stick it in the wall. So, you know, you've got the concentration needed around Singapore is unreal. While you're getting your questions in, 1 second, I just need to see if we're 4-0 down already in the football. Probably will be. Oh no, we've scored a goal. Bloody hell. Christ. 1-0 up. Not used to this. Very strange. I'm predicting a Piastri win tomorrow, says Bob. I'll remember that, Bob. We'll do some predictions before we round off for the day. But we'll do some other questions. I think I answered that the other week, actually, Michael, about the Q2 rule. I would, but I don't think it really... in the end, it didn't have the impact it needed to have or was expected to have. I think the gap between the leaders and the midfield got so big that it was kind of a pointless rule. But when the field's this close, it's definitely worth bringing it back for this sort of thing. Definitely. Because that, you know, thinking let's start on the mediums tomorrow and having to get through Q2 on that tyre might have actually cost somebody a place in Q3. So that, yeah, when we've got a grid this close, it's worth having that rule. When it's spread out, which it probably will be next year, just heads up, then maybe not. Maybe not. I think Sam made some great points the other day in his short about the fastest lap point as well, and maybe bring it back, but opening it up for everybody. Some say maybe open it up that the fastest driver in the top 10 gets a point. And yeah, I can't say I've missed the fastest lap point this season. I wasn't really bothered by it either way. It was just something, but you know, it's over a long season. It's 24 points, isn't it? So it can make the difference. Is it possible to show overall lap times on the left table, says Clayton? I'll just the only thing I can change on that, let me just have a look for you, is because there's a code I have to use. I'm not allowed to use, or we're not supposed to use, screen capture. Otherwise I could have a lot more stuff on there. So I have to use the code that Multiview provide, and that only gives me driver tag, best time. I could change that to last lap time, gap to the leader, and then the sector times in the tyre compound. I'll have a look on Discord later, see if I can change that for a future stream, but at the moment I can't. I don't think there's a way to do that, but I can ask the question, and if it's not an option, they might change it for next year, or for later in the season. So I will add that to my many list of questions for people over the next few days and weeks, and then I'll see what I can do later. But thank you for the question. I want Max to have his 5th World Championship, says Sumed. Yeah, I kind of want him to do it this year because I think it'll make a great story over the winter. I really do. I think it will, and it would really spice up the final 6 races. I think. Is it 6 after this? USA, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Qatar. Yeah, Abu Dhabi 6. So make it interesting, wouldn't it? My predictions are Norris, Piastri and Hamilton. I hope for mayhem and I have to get moving now. Thanks as always for the stream. Hope to catch you tomorrow. See you later, Red Raven. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate the chat as always. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, Let's Dash, for subscribing. Says I subscribed. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who subscribed today. Really appreciate the support. The issue with the fastest lap point for all is what happens in the final of this season of Formula E, where you had drivers doing qualifying laps and pitting to get the point for the title. Yeah, that is the downside to it, isn't it? But would you rather have, you know, let's get season finale, top 2 on the grid now, Russell and Verstappen, head to head for the title, 1 point wins the championship. Would you rather have them, you know, would you rather have them doing something, or I'm trying to think of a really bad example that would maybe counter that. I agree with your point. You're absolutely right. It's why I don't like the idea of championships being winning sprints. But as Stewart made the point last year or year before when Max did it, the thing with the sprints is if you get to a point where you can win the championship in a sprint, you're so far clear anyway that it was probably inevitable, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just trying to think of an example. So, like, let's say Russell and Verstappen, season finale, 1 point wins the title. They're having a bad race. They're down in 12th and 13th. Would you rather they just trundled around to that, or go and have a qualifying shootout over the final 5 laps for the fastest lap? I appreciate it's a very specific set of circumstances for that to make it interesting, but yeah, I get what you mean. It was a bit silly in Formula E, but then Formula E is quite silly anyway. So, is this the final grid, says Kieran? It's the final result from qualifying, but we've got Hulkenberg, Tsunoda and Bortoletto under investigation for yellow flag infringements. So that may change from sort of Hulkenberg down a little bit, but that is the final top 10, unless anything happens in the meantime. So, yeah, the double points race in 2014 was just so stupid. It was just Bernie trying to do Bernie things. One race shouldn't mean more than any other in terms of points, but you know, as it turned out, it didn't matter, did it? Because poor Nico Rosberg had those mechanical problems, and I will say this as well very quickly. We're going back 11 years, but I still have huge respect for Rosberg for not pitting and retiring when he was told to. He was determined to finish that race for the championship, even though he was never going to win it. That's huge respect there. Don't remind me of Abu Double. Oh, that was all the branding, wasn't it? The fight for 5 as well that Sky were on about when it was Vettel versus Hamilton for title number 5. The fight for 5. It's like, oh, for God's sake. Not everything needs a catchphrase, says Mr. Hey Guy Sean here, and does tyre talk every week. But anyway, top 10 always good, but let's hope he doesn't get into any conflicts during the race, says Kaori. Talking about Bearman, there you go. I had to double check that one. I didn't Toto Wolff is playing with fire, offering a 1+1 for George and Kimi when there's no guarantee that Max will go to Mercedes. Is that what he's offering? Do we know that as not fact, but is that the rumor mill? Is that what they're saying, CPB? Because yes, you're taking some risks there, because if you only get a 1+1 and then next year Ferrari rock up and dominate, and I don't know, Leclerc wants to move on, or they decide to sack Hamilton, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a random reason that Russell might leave, then and they come knocking, you're going to lose your driver. And then if Max doesn't want to go to Mercedes, what do you do then? Yeah, they are definitely playing with fire, definitely. I was thinking, what was I thinking about earlier for Toto Wolff? Power units, that sort of thing. Random, it came to me earlier and I thought I'd ask it on stream, and I forgot to do it earlier, so I'll do it now. It's a question, really, for you guys. Do you remember going back a long while now, to when Red Bull were coming to the end of their Renault partnership and they were threatening to walk away, and then they wanted to change the rules, so somebody had to provide them with engines, and they wanted a Mercedes one, and Toto Wolff wasn't letting it happen, and all of that. Do you think now, if that was to happen next year, let's say Red Bull, I'm not saying they will, but let's say they build a terrible power unit and they decide they want a Mercedes power unit, do you think Toto Wolff would be more open to that now that Christian Horner isn't there than he would have been 8 years ago, let's say, if Christian Horner was still there? Because McLaren have a Mercedes power unit and they've beaten Mercedes. They beat them to the title last year pretty solidly, and they're going to beat them to the titles this year. So obviously that's not an issue for them. So I do wonder if like that little petty, tetchy, silly little rivalry and not hatred, but dislike, it felt like at times, between Toto and Christian, if now that's not there anymore, if he might be open to working with Red Bull in some sort of capacity there with Mercedes power units. I don't think so. I'm not. I wouldn't give Red Bull a power unit. Give Max Verstappen our power unit. No thanks. I wouldn't do that for a second. But I just wonder if, yeah. But they could also. I know that's. They already provide to 3, Dennis, but they can also, somebody might take a Honda engine or a Ford engine or a whatever engine if they decide to move away from Mercedes. But I also think that the rules have been a little bit more relaxed around that in recent years, because they might tighten it up again now because of obviously Audi coming in and things like that. So we've got more power unit manufacturers now. So Cadillac building their own, but they might. I mean, this is, and again, I said this the other week, this is where we miss Cosworth. Somebody already said it in chat, CPB. It's why we miss Cosworth, just having an independent engine provider or supplier who can just build an engine and stick it in the back of your car. Yeah, I don't think he would. I just wondered if maybe it was the Christian Horner factor that was the biggest problem there. But because Horner did like to fall out with Cyril Abiteboul, didn't he, and Toto Wolff and anyone who exhaled. So I don't think he would do. But it just came to me earlier. Sometimes I have these thoughts about F1. I think I'll ask chat that. Let's see what we think. It gets the conversation started, doesn't it? But yeah, Kevin's been to the Montreal race 5 times. Would love to go to Montreal. I would absolutely love that. I really, really would. But then I also want to move to Canada, but I might wait a few years for that. See what happens. We might not be here next week. Let's see what happens. I don't want to get into. We're not getting into politics in the world. There's just no point. So this is a safe space from all of that. We just watch our silly little cars go round on the track and talk nonsense for a couple of hours every other Sunday and Saturday, for sure. Yeah. That was it, really. That was my question. There's lots of other questions I'd love to ask one day, and maybe we'll do it in the winter. It gets us through, but yeah. Montreal's a great place for races. You take the subway there. It's so close, says Kevin. Max doing very well in Singapore, despite being his bogey track, says Tom. Toe Tom. Yeah. It's not a point for me in my predictions, but he's up there and out-qualified both McLaren, so that's a huge boost. And I nearly put Russell on my podium as well. On Thursday, my predictions, and I wish I had now, but unfortunately I didn't. So, Japan announced their first female president today, says CPB. Speaking of politics, I didn't understand who prevented Max from getting pole. Because someone tell me, says Maya. I'm not sure, to be honest. Red Raven was saying it was that Norris was ahead and was a bit of a distraction to Max, which is why he backed out. But there's no suggestion of impeding or anything like that. Norris was a couple of seconds up the road, so turbulent air is a factor, but also it may have been a distraction for Max rather than anything Norris did particularly wrong. So I'm not expecting anything to come of that, but that's what happened there. Let's not, Kevin. Let's really not. We'll let everyone else do that. Tomorrow's the first time I'm going to sit down and watch an F1 race. My buddy got me into it, and I really want to see Max come back and win the World Championship, says Kane. Enjoy, yes. I hope it's a good race. Singapore could be a bit hit and miss, but sometimes it can be quite a lot of fun. And, 15 races in Singapore we've had. World Championship races, I should say. There were a few before it became a World Championship event, but World Championship races 15. We've had 14 of them have featured a full safety car, so it can get a bit chaotic at times. And, yeah, could be a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy that one. Norris dirty air into the corner. Yeah, but, no, he wasn't impeding, was he? That's what I'm saying. To Baz, I'm not debating the dirty air thing. There's no denying, particularly around somewhere like this. Dirty air's a factor, but I'm just trying to think what Norris could have done. Shove it in the wall and cause a yellow flag, maybe, I don't know. No penalty for Hamilton, no. That was the data showed that he'd slowed down enough for that one, so no penalty for Hamilton, unless something's come through since. The only investigations we've got guaranteed are for Hulkenberg, Bortoletto and Tsunoda for yellow flag infringements around Pierre Gasly in Q1, so nothing going on there. No penalties as of yet. It'll be. I'm not going to stay live either, by the way. To wait for the stewards' decisions, because we'll be a good few hours yet before they decide on that one, so nothing there. Any more questions before I wrap it up for today? Don't forget I am back tomorrow and I've got some stuff to talk to you all about, so nothing to worry about, don't worry. But yeah, so let me know any more questions. If not, then we will wrap it up there. Kevin says, if Ferrari sucks with the new rules, I say Lewis retires and Chuck goes to another team. I think if Ferrari suck next year, Kevin, I think I might retire or go to another team. I just can't handle it anymore. Crazy. And that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Where does he go? Charles Leclerc. These are the kind of questions that are difficult to answer here and now because we don't know the pecking order next year. Let's pretend, Fantasyland, Adrian Newey builds an incredible car and Honda's power unit next year is unbelievable and Aston Martin are the dominant force. Suddenly, they've got Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, the McLaren drivers knocking on the door wanting a seat. So it could all, at the minute we're talking about, Leclerc maybe to Mercedes or a Red Bull or a McLaren, but next year we could have a completely different top four teams. I don't think it will change as much as it has in previous seasons because, as people have pointed out before in chat in other streams, this is really a tweak to the hybrid engines rather than a complete overhaul like 2014 was. And yes, the aero regs are a huge difference, but it might be that we still end up with the same top four, just a different order. But you never know. You never know. Exactly. Whoever's quickest, Max will sign for him, and that's the same with Leclerc will be knocking on the door. I mean, Verstappen, Leclerc, a dominant Aston Martin could be fun, but Fernando Alonso says if they've got a championship winning car, he won't retire. he might consider retiring because he wants to go out on top. But if he's got a car that's a second of that quicker than everybody else next year, he might stick around for a good 3 or 4 years and get those titles he's so desperate to get wrapped up. So Pascal says, where do you think Alex Dunn will end up next year after cutting ties with McLaren? 100%. And I have some info, but nothing has been confirmed. But I'm 100% certain he'll go to Red Bull's junior program. It won't be for a race seat next year. At the moment, he's not got these super license points. Anyway, has he, Alex Dunn? I don't think. I might be thinking of somebody else, but I don't think he does. But he will be part of the Red Bull junior program, and maybe with a view to a seat for 2027 at Racing Bulls or whatever they'll be called then. They might have changed their name again. So, yeah, Alex Dunn will be at Red Bull as part of the junior program for sure. Another year in F2, which I think Lindblad needs, but he looks like he's getting promoted, so whatever. And then maybe a seat at the sister team for the following year, 27, if Lawson or Tsunoda, whoever gets that second seat, probably Lawson, I take a guess at, doesn't deliver. Look at that. Platolobi says, Tsunoda's future question mark. I think there's a lot to be said for the rumours of him taking Drugovic's seat or reserve role at Aston Martin. Red Bull are talking about it effectively. Maybe they've not used these words, but effectively a shootout between Tsunoda and Lawson for that second Racing Bull seat. I can't see Red Bull promoting Tsunoda and then demoting him. I think they'll stick with Lawson and probably Lindblad. But as I said the other week, if you want a good gauge of where Lindblad is, Tsunoda's experience could be a really good benchmark there. So that might mean that they do things differently this time, but who knows? I don't think he'll be in that car next season. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I may be tempted to leave it as it is if I was Helmut Marko and co and see where they are mid-season next year. But my problem is, as I said a million times in the last few months, I just think it's too soon for Lindblad, and I just think they're going to burn through another junior and be in the same place in 12 months' time. I think, particularly in the recent weeks, the mistakes he's been making, I think Lindblad needs another year in F2. I rate the lad. Oh, I've ruined his career now. Last driver I rated it was Stoffel Van Dorn. That went well, didn't it? So that's Lindblad's career over. Sorry, Arvid. But he's quick and he's got potential, but I just think it's a year too soon. But I said the same about Antonelli, and I think I've mostly been right about that. He seems to have found some form of late, which is great, but I think he could have done with another year in F2, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't think Tsunoda's got much of a future at the Red Bull setup, even if he stays for next year in one of those seats. I don't think there's much there, but Aston Martin in a reserve role, maybe replacing Fernando if he does retire, or maybe if they do decide to let Stroll go at any point. Yeah, right. Maybe then, but I don't know. Tough. I've heard Dunn is going to Red Bull with a guaranteed F1 seat if he gets a super license, says Gingerfest. That's not what I've heard. But you might have different. I don't know, Gingerfest, what information you've got, mate. It looks like it's going to be Red Bull with another year in F2. But look, 6 races left. There's still a couple of races left in F2 as well. If Alex has a couple of great races, gets that super license he needs, they might look at it and say, do you know what? Lawson probably isn't the future. Tsunoda isn't the future. Let's put 2 juniors in there like they did with the team, like they used to do with the team back in Dare. Put two juniors in there, really young drivers in there, and let them shoot it out of the Red Bull seat. Maybe they might do, but the info at the moment is that it's Red Bull with F2 next year. But that, look, trying to predict what Red Bull will and won't do, the info changes all the time. Who knows? I'd tell you, actually, I'll give you an exclusive. Why not? Max Verstappen will be at Red Bull next season. Heard it here first. That's all I can guarantee you about Red Bull. And Hadjar will be in one of the seats, probably alongside Verstappen. Let's be honest. I think Helmut Marko retires next year, says CPB. Krusty says, yeah, Yuki is bad. Lance will become team boss junior soon, says Kevin. Platolobius says Red Bull should only be allowed 1 car unless they have a proper rival to Max who will get a fair go. Otherwise, take away the second Red Bull seat and add an extra Racing Bulls one instead. Yeah, Max might want to, based on this season, Max might want to drive the Racing Bulls car. That's the trouble. And Fuzz says, as harsh as it is on Lawson and Tsunoda, if you're doing a shootout to decide who's worst, then neither is going to be good enough, sadly. Fair enough. And Red Bull Engine will... I'm not disagreeing with you. Red Bull Engine will suck next year, and we will be hearing a lot of colourful language from Max. We get colourful language from Max when everything's going well. I'm just listening to Max here, as always. He's talking about the Lando thing. Sorry for the dead air. I'm just listening to what Max says, so it might be interesting. Yeah, he's pretty clear he's not happy about it. Basically, the long and short of it is that when you're in qualifying, particularly in Q3, you keep big gaps to the cars ahead, and you don't usually see another car. But on a street track, it can change because mistakes are made, and they might be going slower. He feels that he got turbulent air and it lost a bit of downforce, and that's why he nearly went, in his words, I think he said, straight on in that chicane, and that's why. So he is saying that was an impact. But I would be utterly stunned, and we've gone so far now, I'd be stunned if the stewards even look at that. There's nothing in it, but I get what he's saying now. The turbulent air disturbed him, but he also sort of said there it sort of happens, doesn't he, from time to time. So there you go. Sorry for the dead air there. I hate dead air. People always have a go at me and say you need to talk less, which always makes me laugh because it's like, okay then, how boring would that be? But sometimes I do need to listen to what they say, but we will leave it there. No, we won't. I'll tell you what, one surname in chat. Who's going to be the winner tomorrow? I'll do some quick shout outs. Who's winning the race? And then we'll end it there. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. I will stick with my prediction on Thursday with complete and total confidence. Maybe not. But I'm not ruling out George. I think that'd be great. But I'm going to go Verstappen. I'm going to stick with Max. We're going to be confident for once. But hopefully Hadjar. You never know. Yeah. Kaori says, hilarious people worried about Hadjar and his language and emotion, but Gabby is on another level. Funny, isn't it? How quickly Hadjar just batted away that bad temper conversation, wasn't it? So quickly. Just kind of turned up to Formula One and was a completely different guy. So, well, not a completely different guy, but you know what I mean. Just really manages to... Yeah, he's had his moments, but not what we were expecting compared to F2. Fudd has said Antonelli for the win. CPB says, bold prediction, but I'm calling it now. Don't be shocked if Max does a Kimi 2013 and sacks the team off with a few races left. There you go. Kane says Verstappen. Kaori's gone with Russell. Platalobi was hoping for a Piastri for the win. CPB says Russell. Mike says Russell. Dabaz says Oscar. Ali says Verstappen. Michael says Verstappen. Kevin says George will pit early because he sees rain in his helmet, so Max for the win. Verstappen, Piastri, Russell and Hulkenberg in a point, says Pascal. Verstappen wins the championship, mark my words, says Chris. I hope so. Can you put subtitles on what you're watching whilst talking? Yeah, then I've got to read. That's the only downside. I still have to be quiet to read them. That's just the kind of guy I am. Two things at once, no chance. Warren says Max. Lee says Max. Fudd says Russ and Max out in turn one. The McLarens, Papaya rules themselves. Antonelli, Hamilton and Leclerc podium. I like the sound of Fudd's race tomorrow. Taylor says Hadjar. I like the sound of that as well. Is it Skit? Skit Hunmarsh says Lawson. Kyle says Hamilton for Roscoe. And Mike is saying that Fudd's will be amazing. That would be an absolutely incredible, an incredible race. Marsh says Max it is. There you go. I'd be happy with. For the championship, Max or Piastri. And if you're new, because there's quite a few new people here today, just to be clear, I don't dislike Lando Norris. I have no problem with him. But I just can't be doing with Sky circle jerking all winter over the fact we've just another British world champion because they just drive me mad. It's nothing against Lando, and I'd like to see an Australian world champion for the first time since 1980. That'd be nice as well. But Max taking number 5 because of the way you'd have to do it would also be pretty special. So there we go. But we're going to wrap it up there for today. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to have your company today. A lot of fun as always on these streams, and I'm pretty much looking forward to that race. Just to confirm, Russell on pole, Verstappen second, Piastri P3. CPB's talking about 2026, not this season, by the way, with the Verstappen prediction. That's I did get that, but I should have clarified that myself when I said it. So sorry, CPB, putting you in trouble there, but there you go. Yeah, I will see you all tomorrow. I'm back at 12:30 p.m. UK time for the race watch along. Race lights out is at 1 p.m. UK time as well, so live for half an hour before, and then we'll be ready to go for the race. Please do drop a like and subscribe before you go. Your support is always appreciated, and I will see you tomorrow. But as ever, I need to breathe first. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.